Welcome back to Hippie Bliss Travel. Today we're heading to Cape Disappointment in Southwest Washington. And this here on this bridge is the bridge between Astoria, Oregon, and it crosses the Columbia River into Megler, Washington. And the bridge is 4 miles long. It's the longest continuous truss bridge in North America and it's been open since 1966. So on the Astoria side, you see we went up where I started the video is kind of where we made a left-hand turn on the entrance to the bridge. And you have to go up really high, and that's because that's the side of the Columbia River where all the big ocean going vessels go. So they bring the big container ships into Oregon or into Portland to unload. Fleet Week comes in to Portland during the summer every year, and this is the entrance that they use into the Columbia River. The Astoria side's got the really high bridge. What we learned at Cape Disappointment, that's because where the deeper water is on the Columbia River. And then after that, you'll come down here. You get just above the water on the Columbia River, and this takes you across to Washington. If you watch the video, the first 5 minutes is us just crossing the bridge. This is at regular speed. This is, just normal driving, 1 lane each way. But it's a one long bridge to cross. Wanted to give you the full effect on how long it takes to cross the Columbia River at Astoria. Cape Disappointment is where the Pacific Ocean and Columbia River meet. But the Cape Disappointment's on the north side of the Columbia River. We did a video a while ago about Fort Stevens, which is also where the Pacific Ocean and the Columbia River meet, but it's on the south side of the Columbia River in Oregon. This one's on the north side. And here we are, finally making it across the bridge to Washington. And there was a lot of fishermen out on the would be the Washington side of the river with the shallower water. We're not quite sure what they were fishing for, but we noticed it all afternoon. Because from here, probably Cape Disappointment's probably another 20-25 minute drive. You go through a couple small towns along the Washington coast here. And here we are at Cape Disappointment. As you're heading in, there's the ocean would be on one side, and then there's like a bay on the other side that has a small little Coast Guard station. Actually, part of Cape Disappointment, and the lighthouse that we're gonna hike up to today, actually is operational, not just as a lighthouse, but they have a lookout there. A Coast Guard member sits there and with his binoculars, and he was documenting what boats were coming and going. And because one of the guys you'll hear on the video ask him, "Is that a U.S. ship heading out?" Or But yes, this is they still use the Coast Guard uses this today as an active site. And then we're gonna first head up to well, let's see. Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center is part of it, and then they have some concrete where not really the old barracks, but where they used to hang the old guns and the big cannons before the Interpretive Center was built, because it's kind of blocking where the guns would be aiming out at the ocean today. But this is just a hike up from the parking lot. So Cape Disappointment State Park was formerly Fort Canby State Park. The park offers 27 miles of ocean beaches, two lighthouses, an interpretive center, hiking trails. Um, the two lighthouses are the North Head Lighthouse and Cape Disappointment Lighthouse. So, some history of how everything got named or discovered was in 1788, in search of the Columbia River, an English captain missed the passage over the river bar and named the nearby headland Cape Disappointment for his failure in finding the river. And in 1792, an American captain successfully crossed the river bar and named the river Columbia after his ship, the Columbia Rediva. Only a few years later, in 1805, Lewis and Clark expedition arrived at Cape Disappointment. See, the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse was constructed in 1856 to warn seamen of the treacherous river bar known as the Graveyard of the Pacific. This is the oldest functioning lighthouse on the West Coast. In 1862, Cape Disappointment was armed with a smoothbore cannons to protect the mouth of the Columbia River.
Fort Canby was all of this area. Fort Stevens covered everything but the ground this way, like they did this full circle here. And Fort Columbia did this, although they probably could have gone out here as well, you know, did it like that.
So we've done Fort Stevens. Now we're at Fort Canby. So we're going to do Fort Columbia just to do the trifecta.
Yeah.
What are those shells or
Powder, outlet powder charges.
powder charges? Okay. Is that one? So this would be like at Fort Stevens where the big guns and cannons were.
I think so. I mean, I would envision that, you know, the building here is new, so that wouldn't have been there.
Very true. That's that interpretive center.
Right. So they could pop up fire. They were unmounted on retracting mounts. So like they would raise the gun up for fire, and then the recoil of the firing would trigger the mount to sag back down.
Oh, okay.
So that you were, you know, the people who fired it were down behind the wall, out of sight.
And after finishing up here, we're going to hike to this lighthouse over here, which is the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse. Mm-hmm. So shipping can change. Okay.
The deepest part of the river.
Yeah.
That's why in Astoria where the bridge crosses, that's why the high part is way over here on the Oregon side, is because that's where the water's deepest.
Yeah.
Which is probably explains why all the fishermen are over here where the water's the most shallow. Maybe they're out there doing clams or
Something in particular to
some
do.
bottom feeder that.
Yeah. And here's the interpretive center we went in, and yeah, no swimming. This is not a swimming area you want to go when you're down by the beaches. The water is too rough, the currents are too strong, and you learn all about it here in the interpretive center. A lot of interesting history, a lot of artifacts again that they've used over the years.
These two must be a long way apart
Okay.
because they have the same alternating red and white flashes every 15 seconds, alternating red and white flashes every 15 seconds.
Okay.
This map shows the shoreline of Cape Disappointment, 1869.
18, yeah, okay, it says 1869 map on it. 1920.
All this was added.
Wow. 1960 more has been added.
This was gone. This was added. A little more up here was added. This changed just from sediment. Some of it went away up here.
Wow. Yeah, it talked about not only, the history of the Cape Disappointment, but the climate, the changes, the climate and the sediment, at the mouth of the river, how it affected it, the boating and all that. So if you ever get get some time, stop not just at this interpretive center or, stop at any of them and learn a lot about the U.S. and wherever you're at. Oh yeah.
Because you get more all the way around from the lighthouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the jetty that sticks out from where Fort Stevens is.
Okay.
There's that one right there. Because that's the other side of the river.
Yeah.
Essentially, this is between the two jetties here and here is what is really considered the opening into the river itself.
I like them.
And it's done so that it speeds up the water through the sand.
And then at the interpretive center, there's some trails that you just follow that will lead up to the lighthouse, past the Coast Guard little facility there. And I think this was the
Can't see
Coast Guard. They were getting ready to head out, but it was
You know,
cool how they were
where the
trying to
boat
get
seems to be
get the
like
boat out
throwing
of the
lines out to
little
someone on the dock.
its little home there where it's moored. There's another boat coming in behind it. Again, this is on the bay side of Cape Disappointment. It's like Cape Disappointment's a little peninsula. I don't know. Looks like the boat's turning to come out. Another boat coming. Oh, there's also, I think, a dock nearby or a harbor area.
Right.
You gotta love that kind of,
Yeah.
what is that? Adrenaline, yeah. You gotta love it. Some of the things that you
Coast Guard?
That's all Coast Guard facility there for sure.
Yeah. And as we're hiking up to the lighthouse, and as you saw the sign that said Dead Man's, that's in reference to Dead Man's Cove here as we're walking by it. We've been down there before. This is a good upper shot looking down at it. The stairs are quite steep and slippery, so it's not, if you're not real steady on your feet, it's sometimes hard to make it down to the cove. And Dead Man's Cove, it was named after a shipwreck, Vandalia, I think is how you pronounce it, in 1853, where a lot of the bodies from the shipwreck washed ashore. So it's, Cape Disappointment's known as the graveyard of the Pacific. Dead Man's Cove is where a lot of the bodies went. So, little fun fact there. And here we are up at the lighthouse. Actually, it's pretty small compared to the ocean, I guess.
Well, compared to the ocean, it is small. Very, very small. I wonder what's out there stirring up so much mess. Or worst case scenario, it's a boat stuck on fire. When I say it looks small, it's probably a 300-foot vessel.
Yeah.
But it's the length of a football field. Goal line to goal line.
And the building off to the right there, that's the interpretive center we were just at, uh, just before we hiked over.
Is that a U.S. ship or?
You know, there's fishing boats
Well,
that
am I
start
correct
fighting
when they're
5 to 8
sometimes
feet
you
long
don't
in
that
the
much
drags.
for lightly loaded or?
And in this building, there was actually a Coast Guard member in there with binoculars. I don't know if he was writing, because the guy was asking him in the little section earlier, is that a U.S. ship or something? I don't know if he's just
So we
writing
got
down ship
one,
names or
two,
what he's
three, four,
documenting,
five
but he's
small
watching the
boats,
mouth of the river.
and then the one big boat heading out.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you count the one as well.
Are you using drones right now?
9. If you look over there, there's a whole bunch.
Yeah, and you see the pickup there. Yeah, that's the Coast Guard vehicle. From Dead Man's Cove up to the lighthouse, all of us have to walk, except the Coast Guard. There is a gate from where the Coast Guard, I guess, I don't know if it's barracks or where their offices are, can drive up. And then we decided to walk out to the jetty, see how far we could get out. So this is kind of as we're walking toward the beach, and then we hop on the jetty and we see how far we can walk out. We were hoping to go all the way to the end,
Almost to the end of the jetty.
but we didn't
There's
make
the
it.
end of the jetty. Looks like we are the only ones on the beach at the moment. Oh, there's some people out there on the jetty. Oh, there's the other next lighthouse.
What?
There's the next lighthouse way out there.
Yeah.
And from the jetty, we're looking up north. That's the second lighthouse. I think it's the North Head Lighthouse.
There is the lighthouse we were at a little bit ago. This is the mouth of where the Columbia River and the Pacific Ocean meet. Oregon. We wanted to get to the end of the jetty, but I think we'll call it good here. They're talking rain coming in tonight. It's what, 3, almost 2:33 in the afternoon. 2:30. And way over here is another lighthouse. North Head Lighthouse, okay? And that is the beach we came from out here to the jetty. Hitting the birds.
We'll walk the distance out here on the net. Oh, the book.
Yeah.
To get out to the end might take half an hour.
Yeah.
Just that.
All right.
Makes me wonder if the other one can be reached too. How far out?
Huh.
That's
Yeah. I'm just looking at all the birds. I mean, there's birds every...
Those bird watching these sports, they've been flying in formation. Like they flew in,
Uh-huh.
hit that line, they're leaving.
And it looks like rain may be heading this way. We may want to get back to the car before that. And we forgot to bring coats with us. It's August, yeah.
Yeah, I have a coat that costs.
But it's August, you're thinking, oh, I don't need no stinking coat.
after we got off the jetty, or we're getting off the jetty here, it was just like a grassland, sandy, flat walk back to the car. And yeah, we still drove out toward as far as we could, uh, parking as close to the jetty as we could. And yeah, it was starting to become a race. You could start feeling a few sprinkles here and there. You're like, oh, it feels like it might start raining, a few sprinkles now and then. But yeah, we made it to the car just in time.
Yep, I think we made the right call turning around when we did, because it's just starting to lightly rain.
And here we are just driving back from out by the jetty. We're still in Cape Disappointment. It is a state park that's a $10 one-day pass. There is camping. I think they said there's yurts that you can rent for a night or two. And this is driving back. We're on the Washington side, heading back to the Astoria, the bridge that runs to Astoria. I think I'm going to wrap up my video here. Thank you for coming to Cape Disappointment with us today and learning a little more history of the U.S. I want to say thank you for watching Hippie Bliss Travel. If you made it to the end, give us a like and a subscribe. And I hope to see you next week. Bye.